Welcome to episode number 49 of Beyond Social Media Show. I am David Erickson, your co-host. You can find me at e-strategyblog.com and on Twitter at @derickson. And I will preface this show by saying I am dealing with a bit of a cold, so I may be muting myself if I feel a cough coming on, so we'll just have to deal with that. I am with my co-host, BL Ochman. BL, of course, you can find at maximum-plus.com for all things Google+. You can find her blog at whatsnextblog.com and on Twitter at whatsnext. And, of course, you can find her writing for Ad Age. And as we do every week, we have the best and the worst of what went wrong, what went right in social media and online communications. We have some shiny new stuff, some cool tools that we found, and we wrap it up with some stats you'll want to know. BL always has the honors to start it off with the worst. What went wrong last week, BL?
Well, we were introduced last week to the Internet of Jerks, and that was demonstrated by Googler Scott Jensen. He on Twitter invited himself to speak at the Internet of Things conference in San Francisco, and they scheduled him as the keynote. And now he's just a plaything on Twitter, and the hashtag for him is #IamGoogle, and it is spreading. Because when he got to the conference, there were only about 50 people waiting for his keynote, which happened to include some high-level executives from Linux and Cisco, and he slammed his fist on the table, and he screamed out, "I'm Google! I don't speak to small groups," and he stormed out. And then the tweet started. The tweet started, "Not enough peanuts on my flight. I'm out of here. I am Google." That came from a Microsoft techie. And then I came home and there was only one husband waiting for me, and I'm out of here. Came from Marisol Bueno, I think her name is, and then there was another one that said, "I wonder if the next tweet will be, I am fired." And I'm quite sure that the update was, "I am fired," but perhaps he's still there, who knows, but come on.
Well, I mean, not only was his ego bigger than the conference room he stormed out of, right? Yeah. He also didn't he invite himself onto the panel?
He invited himself, yes. He said, "You got to have me," and so they not only did they invite him, they invited him to keynote, and there he is. He, total disrespect. And if you take any kind of speech training, they tell you that even if there's one person in the audience, talk to that person like they're the most important person on the planet, because they might be. And so, among those 50 people, it might have been the most important person he ever met. I am Google. Come on.
Well, I mean, the reason you do something like this is to establish yourself as an authority, as an expert on a subject, right? That's why you go and speak to these things. And you hope to get more, right? Because that's how you do it. You go more and more. The perfect way to not get more is to do exactly what he did.
I mean, I can't even imagine that kind of tantrum, It's just, and don't you know that will turn up on social media? Don't you know that? Well, any place there's one other person, it's going to turn up on social media.
Entirely predictable.
Well, that's the case. There's another one that's sort of predictable. McDonald's introduced their new Happy Meal ambassador. I think his name is Mr. Happy, and he's scary. He looks like something you would have nightmares about. He's like this big mouth on feet, and it's just a mistake. But in defense of brands, brands can't change anything without people being upset about it. You change your logo, there's a Twitter storm, So no matter what they did, probably nobody would have liked it. But this is really scary. And then the question is, well, what happened to Ronald McDonald? Well, Ronald McDonald's getting a makeover too. And so does this mean he's going to be an even scarier clown?
Well, I mean, the happy ambassador, or whatever they're calling it, it looks like a red box with a smiling mouth on it and eyes set on top with McDonald's arches for eyebrows.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's scary so much as weird. I think he looks like some weird clip art.
He doesn't, but he doesn't make you want to eat a hamburger, does he?
I just don't. He makes me scratch my head, is what he does. I think scary is clowns. Clowns are inherently scary. So if you're going to bring back the clown, well, I guess you have had scariness going for you all along.
Well, yeah, maybe Scary sells hamburgers. What do we know? So, what did you? I find hamburgers scary, but then I don't eat meat. So, what did you find, Dave?
So I think the big story last week, eBay. All of a sudden, it was in the air. You have to change your eBay password, and they sort of did it. Wired had a good rundown of their mishandling of this data breach. So early last week, eBay lost as many as 145 million customers' data. So, they're a huge player in e-commerce, global player on par with Amazon. So they've got they're a global company. They've got customers everywhere. 145 million customers. Took 2 days to post a notice about the breach on eBay.com. They confused users as to whether their PayPal accounts had also been affected. They failed to send an email notification to users about the breach. They initially warned customers about the breach on their corporate site, eBayinc.com, but not on eBay.com. And about the same time, they also posted a statement to PayPal's site, which warned in its title that eBay users should change their password, but didn't offer any further information in the post body beyond the words placeholder text. Right? So that was obviously just a template.
Text. You always know what to do when you see that, right?
Exactly. That gave the impression that PayPal may have also been compromised. The message was later removed from PayPal. It was not until Friday that they did post on eBay.com, and then only telling users to change their passwords, but not detailing exactly what data was breached. So this seems to indicate all this whole sequence of events is a lack of crisis planning. So when asked by Wired if eBay had such a plan in place before its breach occurred, eBay spokeswoman Amanda Christine Miller said the company has, quote unquote, many plans to deal with many different issues that arise. That sounds a lot like Sarah Palin saying, when in response to what do you read? Well, I read all of them. They come across my desk at certain times. Yeah. It's stunning. It does appear that they didn't have a plan in place for dealing with an obvious issue that would arise as you're one of the biggest e-commerce companies in the world. And if that's the case, that's breathtaking.
The Sarah Palin response is definitely a good way to describe it. But this is again entirely predictable. At some point, your data could be breached. What would you do if that happened? And obviously, I mean, I read that the actual data breach happened in March, and that they just got around to announcing it in the past week. So who knows? And friends asked me this morning, like, what did you think of that? And I said, well, I don't think they're any less secure than a bricks and mortar store or a restaurant, but I think the way they handled it was bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're by virtue of who they are, they're going to be a target. Amazon's a target. Target's a target. The big players are going to be targets because that's where the data is. It's like, why do you rob banks? That's where the cash is, right? So that stuff is. It's not like that stuff isn't going to happen, and you have sympathy for them and everything. Again, it's the response and how you deal with it. So.
Or not deal with it.
Or not deal with it, exactly.
I mean, that's really inexcusable. So you have another one that indicates a serious lack of a sense of humor.
Well, or simple lack of awareness. Yeah. Former NBA player took an article on an Onion article about him as real. So Ron Harper is a former player for the Chicago Bulls. He played for the Chicago Bulls from 1994 to 1999. He was part of the superstar team that was coached by Phil Jackson and led by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. But Harper was never a member of the Olympic Dream Team. But the Onion article quotes him as talking to a Stop and Shop employee, saying that team was something else. Magic, Jordan, Bird, Barkley and me manning the perimeter, we were unstoppable. Granted, what we accomplished in '96 was pretty great too, but nothing ever came close to that summer in Barcelona. Of course, he never played in it. The Onion is a satiric newspaper. Everybody on the planet except for Harper apparently knows that, because Harper took to Twitter to defend himself. In response, Harper said, whoever told them that story on Onion Sports didn't tell the truth, 4 exclamation points. And I don't do Stop and Shop stores. Thanks, all exclamation points. He responded to someone else who pointed out the story on Twitter. Yes, I saw that BS at Onion Sports. At Onion Sports, whoever wrote that story never talked to the real Ron Harper. 5 exclamation points.
Great. Onion Sports. I mean, shouldn't you know right away?
How do you not know about the Onion? I mean, clearly you did not know that the Onion was a satiric newspaper, but that's awesome.
That's kind of like another Sarah Palin response.
Apparently he doesn't read all the tweets that come across his desk.
Yeah, right. Apparently not. So there was I told you before the show, I took this, I kept moving this from the worst to the best, but it's back in the best examples, and that is My Hero Cat, which is a video. It's Catterday, and so we have a Catterday tale, because the internet, as we all know, is held together by cats. And this cat's name is Tara, and a home surveillance video caught Tara defending the 4-year-old child who lives in the house from a dog attack. And the dog actually came out of nowhere and grabbed 4-year-old Jeremy Trianfilio, I think is how you say his name, and Tara came tear-assing down the driveway and pounced on the dog and scared it off. And the dog had grabbed the kid by the leg and was dragging him. And Tara scared the cat off and then went around and came back to see how the boy was. And so at the end of the video, and then his mother comes running out. So the cat was faster than the kid's mother. This is pretty fast cat. And also totally not typical behavior for cats. I mean, cats don't do that. And so what I thought was a little bit on the not so great side was that she now has an agent.
Of course.
And a website and a Facebook page and a Twitter account and yoga pants, black yoga pants that say Tara the Cat on them, Tara the Hero Cat, and they're $31.99. And then the local Bakersfield Blaze baseball team, minor league baseball team, said, let's bring Tara to the game and have her throw out the first pitch. Well, again, that's not quite typical cat behavior. So they were trying to get her somehow to bat the ball with her paw, and the ball was attached to a fishing line, but that didn't work out. So her owner, Ryan Triantafillo, I don't know how to say his last name, helped her toss the ball, and really the person who tossed it was the 4-year-old kid, Jeremy, the boy who Tara saved, and he got to throw the ball. And, social media chatter brought him to Gawker and Huffington Post and the Today Show, and by the next morning, Good Morning America, and in fewer than 24 hours, the video was watched 1 million times. It's now been seen more than 21 million times, and until the next meme comes along, Tara is going to enjoy her website and her fame, and, it's hilarious, and who wouldn't want to cash in on it, and kudos to them for being able to figure it out, and whoever Jukin Media is, they got themselves a nice account, and who knows how much money you make from 21 million YouTube views. I imagine it's a couple of pennies, and so it's weird that she has stretchy black yoga pants and hats and all that sort of stuff, but who wouldn't? I mean, look at Grumpy Cat. I mean, Grumpy Cat's 15 minutes are not over yet, and the Grumpy Cat has coffee and I don't know what other products, but just.
Well, I don't think it's entirely atypical. It's not what you expect of a cat to do, but I've had cats who have taken on dogs, and you don't mess with some of these cats. You absolutely don't mess with some of these cats. One of my cat had no front paws, only had claws in the back on her back paws, and attacked a dog with back paws because she didn't have any guns on her front paws, right? And that dog whimpered away, and yeah, so you don't mess around with cats sometimes.
Well,
I think
Benny is a 75-pound, almost 80-pound dog, and if he spies a cat, he makes me cross the street because we were walking down the street one day and a cat came out of nowhere and attacked him. So, you know, there are cats that will do that. But defending the boy,
I think Tara the cat, Grumpy the cat, and Neon Cat should get together and have a super group. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a great idea. Obviously, the next thing. So, go ahead, Dave. You have a good one.
Yeah. So AMC, American Movie Classic channel, TV channel, cable channel, debuted their new series *Halt and Catch Fire* on Tumblr. It's a period show about the competitive 1980s personal computing scene. As I said, they debuted it on their Tumblr account, amctv.tumblr.com. The head of the network group, Josh Sapan, claims the network shows are successful as a direct result of the strategy of putting previous seasons of AMC shows on Netflix. So there's a quote: "New viewers are finding these shows on digital services, catching up on prior seasons, and then tuning into AMC for new seasons in greater numbers, many for the first time." He told this to investors in 2012. That's exactly how I became a fan of The Walking Dead, of Breaking Bad, of Mad Men, is hearing about them, people raving about them, going to Netflix and watching all the past seasons, then catching up and now watching them when they come out every week on AMC. So it's a great strategy. It's a sort of a demonstration of that strategy. I did watch the first episode of *Halt and Catch Fire* this morning on Tumblr, and it was a great show. It would have been a lot better if it didn't buffer every 5 seconds. So it's clear that Tumblr has not paid Comcast their toll fee yet. Just saying.
Well, I also became a fan by binge watching Breaking Bad and binge watching Mad Men, and it is a great way to get viewers. And I don't have cable anymore, so that's the only way I'm going to see them anyway. But I have, talking about having a sense of humor and athletes, Lance Armstrong, who had testicular cancer back in 1996 and subsequently lost one of his testicles, was playing Cards Against Humanity, which is a popular game right now, a party game. And what does he get but a card that says Lance Armstrong's missing testicle? And he shared a picture of it on Twitter. And his Twitter bio now says, "Father of 5 amazing kids, 7-time Tour de France winner, full-time cancer fighter, part-time athlete." And now his bio quotes Hunter Thompson. It says, "Life has become immeasurably better since I've been forced to stop taking it seriously." So I thought that was nice.
That's very good. Yeah, very, very good. It's a great. Well, sharing something like that, it turns him human. He needs more of a human touch these days. So good for him. I got a great small business example. This past week, I had to bring my car and get some repairs. There's a St. Paul garage called Signal Garage. They have 2 locations here in St. Paul. I got my repairs done. Went to get my car. They gave me the key. I paid my bill. They gave me the key. Went out to my car, opened up the door, got in, and there sitting on my steering wheel was a thank you note with a mint, right? So that was nice. It's just you don't expect that from a garage, right? When I paid my bill, they gave me my invoice and gave me a $20 gift certificate thing for referring them business, right? So they actively gave me something to try and get them referral business. I'm going to show you the $20 gift certificate because it's sort of typical of of the type of design you see from small business. Busy as hell. Oh my God, there's too much going on there. But you know, they're actively asking for referrals. And the other thing that they did was, and I don't ever see this for small businesses, but it's very smart. They actively asked me at the counter as I was paying my bill for a review, for an online review, and they gave me a slip with instructions on how to do that. So I'm just going to read the slip. Dear client, may we ask for your help? As you probably know, advertising and finding new clients is extremely hard. Your words of confidence could make or break someone's decision to give us a chance to earn their business. We would greatly appreciate it if you would take a moment of your busy time to give us your testimonial. Please go to signalgarage.com/reviews. Thank you. We truly appreciate your time and effort. You go to that website, that URL, and there's a list of all the reviews that they've gotten, but also a form that you can enter a review directly on their website and then give you options to review them on Google+, on Yelp. And it's just very, very smart, very thoughtful, and very deliberate. So small businesses take note. This is how you do it.
That's really terrific. That's impressive as hell. And today happens to be Small Business Saturday on the internet, so that was a good one to bring up. And you know, I buy eggs. I go out of my way to buy eggs from a company that bothers to put a little newsletter in the egg carton. And this month it was recipes for making a breakfast omelet. And last month it was saying that for whatever reason in April eggs tend to have double yolks, and that you might even get one with 3 yolks. And you know, but it's a very personal little note, and it's every time I buy the eggs, I look for it, and I don't mind paying like an extra 50 cents for those dozen eggs because I feel like I know the farmer and I like them.
Very smart, very smart.
It doesn't take much to do that. But I have you know, as a curly-haired person, I spend half my life looking for products that are going to make it. I don't know what I wanted to do. I liked it, you know, one day in 1986. But I can totally relate to this story because you find a product and then you need it because it works, and then one day you go to the store and it's not there. Well, in Israel, 25% of women have curly hair, and lots of them use Pantene Perfect Curl, which is a hair cream, and whatever reason, they stopped delivering it in Israel. And so talk about not knowing your clients. And the women were outraged. They started a Facebook protest to talk about their frustration. And so Pantene was working with Gray in Tel Aviv, and they started a campaign that was supposed to turn bad hair days into good hair days. So they went to Facebook and they picked out individual women's complaints from the protest page. And, for example, they took a woman who complained, nothing looks good on me due to my bad-looking hair, and they took her on a shopping spree with a professional stylist. And another woman said, as my curls stopped growing, my love life lost its spark. So for her, they took her and her husband to a romantic dinner and a limousine and put them up in a hotel for a night. And, of course, the women shared their experiences, and they the Pantene claims they reached 200,000 on Facebook, which I find really hard to believe, considering that nothing reaches anything on Facebook anymore. But they claim that they got earned media coverage worth $500,000, and the best part, they returned the product to Israel because they understood that the demand was enough for them to do that. And they didn't just bring the product back. They invited the Facebook group members to a movie premiere, and they unveiled the product's return by putting a bottle of it under every seat. So they hope we've ended your bad hair days once and for all. Well, you know what? I got to try that product.
Very good, very smart. Yeah. So have you got any more good stuff, or are we on to shiny new stuff?
We're on shiny new stuff, and I see you have a couple of goodies.
I do. So this one I just found today as I was hunting for shiny new stuff to share. This is SimilarWeb, and you can find it at new.similarweb.com. It is analytics for any website. So you put in a domain name, and it'll return the visitor data and and a bunch of other data based on what it knows about that website. I tried it out with one of my websites that has a subdomain, because sometimes those trip up these types of tools, and it worked for that. And all the data seemed pretty accurate. I was pretty impressed. I tried it for another site that I knew had low volume of traffic, and it didn't have any data for that. So that's sort of typically you get that type of thing with these types of tools. So that didn't surprise me. But they're collecting their own data. They've got a panel of users that they collect clickstream data from, and then they've also got their own crawler. So they're collecting data through their crawling of the website. So cool new tool. Just tried it out. Going to give it some more run-throughs, but so far so good. The other one I've got.
Dave, was that one free?
That is free. Yeah, there is. They do have a pro version advertised, but I didn't look into how much it costs or anything. And then the other one I've got is Kunarango. Sorry. It gives you the ability to create your own online school. It looks pretty easy to use. You create your own syllabus, basically. You upload your own videos. You can include text. You can include links. You can include presentations and everything. And then you go out and it has the e-commerce platform built into it. And you go out and sell your online courses. They take 10% of a cut. Which I think is lower than a lot of them, but it's a cool tool. It looks easy to use, as I said, and it is another indication of this sort of trend towards the privatization of expertise. Right? We've got Google Helpouts. We've got this tool. We've got Clarity is another one. Clarity FM. So
Udemy. More. And I've used Udemy, where you can create a course, and what they do that's really helpful is they give you advice on how to market your courses, how to create them, what the best content ought to be. Yeah, I agree. This is about the privatization of information.
Yeah, and you point out a very good point about how to market this stuff, because these tools, a lot of them have the same functionality and are really great and everything. They provide everything you need to offer your expertise. But in order to sell it, you need to do the selling, right? You need to have your network. You need to activate your networks. You need to market your own stuff. So that aspect of it is mostly lacking, I think, for a lot of the people that are doing this, is they don't have that expertise.
Well, an interesting case in point, my friend Joan Stewart, the publicity hound, it just had a webinar yesterday. It was a free webinar, and if you go to her site, you can still see the rebroadcast of it. And it was about how to do a media kit if you have self-published a book, because it's the same everywhere. Okay, now you have the content, and you're a tree in the forest falling down, and nobody's going to hear you unless you understand marketing. And the bottom line is the marketing has to start before the content is even created, and that's what betas are. That's what sign up. It's a great thing is coming, and being able to help with that is the really important part of this one. So I'm going to take a look at that and see what they have to offer. That sounds good. I have one from Nielsen. Nielsen's Twitter TV ratings now identify the age and the gender of those tweeting about TV or even just lurking. And it was delivered overnight for more than 250 U.S. TV networks, and it shows the industry how to identify the age and the gender of those of us who are both tweeting about various shows and events and those who are viewing those tweets. I can't quite figure out how they know that one. But Twitter users are broken down in several age buckets, and 13 to 17, 18 to 24, up to 55 plus. And then there's a sort of general adult field, and they said already some initial analysis of TV Twitter demographics reveals that there's a fairly broad age and gender distribution across programming. So very interesting that they've come up with a way of doing this, and kind of gotten in, because Nielsen was rather late into the internet phenomenon, but they've caught up.
Good for Nielsen. I think Twitter needs to figure out how to get more detailed demographic and psychographic information if it's going to be able to compete with Facebook, because Facebook's just way down that road already. And Twitter's a great medium and everything, and it could be a fantastic medium for advertising. But I really think they need to beef up on their personal graph information, basically.
Yeah, you really have a hard time trying to find out what Twitter has. However, there definitely are programs that will take your Twitter information and track it across other networks and create a profile. So they could do better on their own, though.
Yeah. So we're ready for the daily numbers. I've got share of time spent by online device, or by share of time spent online by device and content. So I thought this is an interesting look at how people are spending their time online with regard to content. This is from ComScore, and so I'm just going to go through some of these. Some of these are obvious, and some of these sort of, well, we'll just comment on. Streaming radio is mostly on 79% on a smartphone, 16% on tablet. That makes sense. You're listening to it on the go. Games, I think, is surprising how much of it is on mobile. 79% on smartphone, 6% on tablet, and only 15% on desktop. That has changed dramatically, I think. Social media, 61% on phone, 11% on tablet. Weather, 61% on phone. That makes sense. Retail, 47% on desktop, 39% on phone, and only 14% on tablet. That's a little surprising. I would expect, not the desktop number, but the tablet number, I would expect to be bigger, just because of the nature of the experience, right? Health, 50% on desktop, 45% on phone. News, 55% on desktop, 39% on phone. Sports, 56% on desktop. That makes a lot of sense because of the nature of sports content. A lot of video-heavy stuff, a lot of text-heavy stuff, where people are devouring. Sports fans are devouring content, so they spend the experience is much better on desktop. Food, 58% on desktop, 27% on phone. I think that makes sense if it includes sort of restaurant-type business. People are scouting out the restaurants they want to get to before they go out, right? They're not doing that on the go. What other? TV, 67% on desktop, 22% on phone. Again, better experience. Travel, 68% on desktop. You're planning that stuff out before you go. You're not doing it on your phone. 21% on phone. Auto, you're doing research on desktop, 76%. So that all makes sense. B2B, 80% on desktop, because you're doing it during work at your desk, right? So those are the daily numbers, and I've got to mute my phone and cough.
Oh, poor Dave. I'm so sorry you have a summer cold. I hope it passes quickly. And I am going to bring us to the end of episode 49 of the Beyond Social Media Show. You will find the video time-stamped on YouTube and on the Beyond Social Media Show blog. You can find us, you'll also find it on our Google Plus page. And you can find David Erickson on Twitter. He's D. Erickson. And you can find him at e-strategyblog.com, eStrategy TV, and you can find me. I blog at whatsnextblog.com. On Twitter, I am at whatsnext. Of course, I am on Google Plus, and I write for Ad Age. And my company, my new company, is MaximumPlus.com, and it is a company that teaches all things Google at Google Plus, and helps to plan Google Plus and YouTube events for companies. We thank you for joining us, and we wish you a wonderful holiday weekend if you're in the U.S., and we'll see you next week.
Happy Memorial Day.